Hi everyone, this is John with Farm Range Anglers, and today we're going to be tying a little variant of a blowtorch, a very fun and well-rounded pattern. So in the vise I have a Fasna F420 size 14, 1x strong jig hook, and then for the bead we have a copper 3.3 millimeter slotted tungsten. For the thread today I'm going to be using some black UTC. You can do a lot of different color variants. This is just one of the ones I personally like to do. It's pretty mild. And for the actual hotspot, instead of having it on the collar and the tail like some of the pattern and color variants call for, I'm just going to have it as the butt. So I'm going to get some UTC fluorescent fire orange thread in a 140. And I'm basically just going to stack it back on itself 3 times. So I get something like this, just kind of bunched up. And I'm actually going to tie that around on the actual hook itself, just like so. Pull those fibers back up. And we're just gonna slightly work that up towards the bead. Once it's tied in, we can just go ahead and cut off all this excess. Nothing too crazy. Just like so. And then I personally don't like my tags to be too long, so I just put the scissors towards the bend of the hook. Cut off just like that. That way you just have a nice little accent point. You can make these a lot flashier. This is just one of the variants I like to do to kind of keep it a little bit more mild and muted for this copper bead. I'm going to be using some small copper wire. We're just going to capture in at the bead, work down the base, just like so. And then I'm just going to be using some natural hair dubbing for the body. I like to make the bodies overall pretty thin so I don't use a lot of the actual dubbing itself. We're going to cover that body all the way up. Go ahead and get our wire wrapping up the body as well. Trying to capture that wire. Helicopter that off. Give this a nice little thread base for when we tie in our CDC. I already have one of the CDC fibers. Essentially I'm just going to be using a little piece, just like that. You can see I already kind of cut off the top. But I'm just going to be using my Swiss CDC tool to get those off. But first we're going to make our dubbing loop. Spin up our CDC. As I'm wrapping these forward, I'm just going to be kind of pulling those CDC fibers back just barely. Now that we have that captured, we can go ahead and cut off our strand. Wet my fingers just a little bit, pull all those CDC fibers back. Nice little spot for our collar. Now I like doing squirrel collars with mine if I'm doing them not as flashy, so I'm just using some Red Fox squirrel dubbing. Making sure to have some nice guard fibers in this because I like to dub them out just a bit. I like to make a relatively nice thick collar. Do about a 4-turn whip finish, cinch it down, cut our thread, then I just get a little dubbing brush and trail out some of those guard fibers. And with the CDC, I think this fly has a lot of movement and it is overall pretty straightforward to tie. So something just like that. Now all I'm gonna do is just trim up my CDC, that way it's not crazy long. And make sure when you're doing this that you pull the fibers off with your fingers instead of cutting them, because they'll get some nice natural ends to them, but if you cut them it'll look very sharp and refined. And there we go. There is our blowtorch variant.